We have told you before about the terrible predicament facing people who have SMA. Spinal Muscular Atrophy is a rare neurodegenerative disease that eats away your muscles. There are 4 types, with type 1 being the most severe. It is so rare that there are about 5 or maybe 600 cases in all of Canada. And there's one drug and one drug only that can help people with SMA, Spinraza. It is considered one of the most expensive drugs in the world. And for almost 2 years, people with SMA have been waiting to hear whether or not their provincial governments will fund the treatment. And the news is a crushing disappointment.
I'm really disappointed.
Tori Lacey is 22 and was diagnosed with SMA when she was 1. She has type 2, so is not as severely afflicted as type 1 patients, who typically die by the age of 2. But still, she can't walk, can't type on a keyboard, and has difficulty holding up her head. And as she ages, this muscular wasting will only get worse. The drug Spinraza, approved by Health Canada 2 years ago, is the one medication in the world that could help Tori.
I think that's the scariest part of SMA, is not being able to predict your future or know, what the next year is going to hold for you, because every day you're going to be weaker than the last. So, just even knowing, even if I didn't see any improvement, just knowing that my disease won't get worse would just mean everything to me.
Tori's disappointment stems from a report released recently by CADTH, the Canadian Agency for Drugs and Technologies in Health. It's made up of a panel of experts that advises provincial governments on which drugs should be publicly funded. The panel recommended that people with type 1 and 2 SMA should get funding for the treatment, but only up until the age of 12. People with type 3 and 4, not at all. Previously, CADTH had recommended Spinraza be provided for only the most severe type of SMA, so while the recommendation expands access, it leaves out people like Tori.
Age discrimination saying that a child's life matters more than an adult's life.
The reason provincial funding is so crucial is because of the cost of the drug. It's $118,000 per dose. Patients need to take it 6 or 7 times a year for the first year and 3 times every year following.
Having it this expensive is cruel. It's the only treatment that's available worldwide for SMA. And I quite frankly think that the pharmaceutical company could do more.
It is made by Biogen. A spokesperson for the company made no apology for the prohibitive price tag.
There are a number of obviously significant costs associated with research and development. That's why you also don't see too many companies that invest in rare diseases, because it is very risky, and the probability of actually finding a treatment is very small.
Tori and her family feel doubly cheated because they had arranged with Biogen to get financial assistance, which would allow them the treatment for half price, or $60,000 a dose. The Laceys managed to fundraise enough for the first few doses, but then the company reneged 2 weeks before Tori's first injection. They received an email from Biogen which read in part, "With respect to our previous discussions with you, we wish to highlight to you that an out-of-pocket option is not a sustainable option for patients to remain on long-term treatment for this debilitating disease."
2 weeks before my injection date, they decided that they actually wanted full price.
We believe that the way that this should happen is that, we do have universal health care in Canada, and that there is an ability for governments to provide access to treatment.
It is now up to the Ontario government to decide whether or not to follow CADTH's advice. But generally, provinces do not stray from the committee's recommendations, with the exception of Quebec, which currently does provide Spinraza to anybody with SMA. And Tori Lacey and her family say that if Ontario does not agree to fund the treatment, they will seriously consider moving.